This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Speaking of the new generation, the Ultimate Warrior agrees to return. And boy, you've talked a lot about Destrucity here in the past, available in the archives. When you're first talking with him conceptually about a return, and he's telling you about Destrucity, and he's telling you about Warrior University, and he's telling you about his comic book and his school, all this stuff. Does what he's going to do at WrestleMania even come up? JR, the only reason I mention this is JR often says, Connie, it always comes down to cash and creative. Well, I know you guys discuss the cash, and I know you don't talk cash here on the show, so we'll table that. But creatively, did we talk about, okay, we're going to bring you back at WrestleMania, and here's who we want you to work with, and here's what we envision for the match? When is that discussed?
I don't remember discussing it there. I think that the overall discussion before WrestleMania was long-term and in the future, and looking at different ways to promote the Warrior and his school and all that other stuff. I don't know that, we ever had the discussion with Jim specifically, okay, here's what we're doing at WrestleMania. WrestleMania was just a launching off point for him to return.
Right. Well, I wanted to bring it up because I am curious, because the relationship was delicate. I mean, at times I think you guys even had Linda correspond with him because he liked, for whatever reason, he liked dealing with her better. Who would have been the guy to go pitch the WrestleMania creative? Would Vince have said, hey, Bruce, call and run this past Jim, see what he's thinking? Or is that a call that Vince probably made himself?
No, that would be something that Vince would probably do. I certainly didn't do it.
So I guess the other question is the follow-up. How does Hunterhurst Helmsley become the guy who draws the number? In theory, it feels like you probably want a heel with heat who people, definitely hate and want to see, catch a beat down here. So maybe the old, hey, who could give him a good match isn't necessarily applicable because it's going to be fast and we want it to be someone who has some heat. Well, how does that become Hunter as far as you recall?
Well, it was Hunter because of the guy that we did feel could give him the best match, and someone that had natural heat, and someone that we were moving on to something else with Mark Merrow. So the Hunter pick was an easy one. We thought that if anybody could lead Warrior through a match and give him a big win, that was it. It was never meant to be the short match that it became.
Okay. Can you tell us how it became a short match?
Yeah, Warrior changed it that day.
What's that? How did that go down? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, Warrior, I think Jerry Briscoe was the agent, and Warrior was like, no, this is the match we're going to do. And went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at that point, it's get the match in the ring. And Hunter was a pro and was like, you know what? Let's just go do what we got to do and move on. We'll deal with all the other shit afterwards.
I want to ask a question here that I don't think anybody's ever asked before. So put some thought into it before you shit on it if I'm way off base. But hypothetically, if that's happening, the match is changing the day of, would that have also been the time from a management perspective that you would try to deliver some good news along with this bad news? The idea being sometimes and I'm not in the wrestling business, but I imagine if you're going to someone and you're saying, okay, we not only need you to sort of do him the favor here and do the honors, but we need it to happen in really strong fashion. And you might be thinking, okay, that means I'm definitely getting squashed. I'm getting buried. I'm getting all these bad words that we wrestling fans hear all the time, but don't you worry, Mr. Performer, because we got big plans for you. We're going to have you win the King of the Ring.
No.
Because what we've always heard though, that the King of the Ring in 96 was originally going to be Hunterhurst Helmsley. And that all changed, of course, after the curtain call, but the curtain call's like 6 weeks after this.
Yeah, no, that was not in the equation. It wasn't done. It was simply, that day. If anything, we're taking notes, at least I am, and the rest of us that had to deal with it of, damn it, Jim, you can't do this. And, that's where we were. But no, this all happened day of, an hour of, and until you're in that situation, you can pontificate all you want, but it's at that point you have to
make a call,
do what you need to do to get the show on.
So I guess my question is, coming into WrestleMania, did you guys already have Hunter lined up in your mind to win the King of the Ring that year?
I don't know that we did. I don't know that we had completely decided by that point.
Does he win? Or I guess he didn't win that year, so it wouldn't have mattered, but did he become the favorite to win based on his professionalism and how he handled this situation?
It may have been in the back of the mind, not specifically. No.
Okay. So let's talk about what's next. The Ultimate Warrior is going to pin Hunterhurst Helmsley in 1 minute and 38 seconds with 3 clotheslines, a shoulder block, a press, and a splash. Meltzer would say Warrior got by far the biggest reaction on the show when he came out. It was amazing how quiet the crowd got after the ring intro, but since Helmsley did the pedigree right away and Warrior didn't sell it and went right to the finish, the crowd picked up right away. Helwig was a little smaller than at his peak, but he's also 39 years old, and he was quite a bit larger and more cut when he returned than the last time. He gave it a dud rating. A lot to unpack here. Warrior squashes a young heel who's been decently pushed, totally obliterates the guy's finish. Not exactly a highlight reel moment for Hunterhurst Helmsley's career and what we know he's going to go on to do.
Absolutely hated it. The entrance was cool. The entrance with the pyro and the Warrior symbol and all that shit was pretty cool. But beyond that, I hated it.
Who put all that together for y'all? Like the presentation with the Warrior fireworks and all that?
We did.
Okay.
I mean, we did it. We had, obviously somebody built that and did the pyro and shit, pyro guys, but that was something that we had come up with to be able to carry around and be a part of his entrance going forward.
Let's, anything else you want to say about this Warrior thing? I mean, I got to tell you, as a non-wrestling fan at the time, I didn't get back in for a few more weeks, or I guess it was a few more months. Even I was paying attention because the Warrior was back. I mean, to your casual fan, your lapsed fan, that's about as big of a name as you could have brought back, right?
I think so, especially at that time. Yes. And I think there was a big part of the audience that maybe thought they would never see him back. So it was a big deal for him to come back, and Warrior had his fans. Warrior had a fan base, but I hated it.
Where were you for this show? Are you on headsets in the back?
Was pretty much all around, but I'm pretty sure I was doing Gorilla this night.
When you see, did you know what the plan was going in? Or, I mean, were you given heads up that, hey, the match is shorter now? Or,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
you're not happy about it,
but I know you may not have loved it, but you kept an open mind until you saw it. And once you saw it, what did you think? I mean, did you immediately think, fuck, we killed that guy and for something that's probably not sustainable, not a good idea? Or what was Vince's reaction?
Vince watched it on air live, wasn't really happy with it. And I was just pissed off about it. I felt that it was abusing the fact that Vince wasn't there backstage, and it wasn't good. I didn't think that it did really much for Warrior. If Warrior just beat a piece of shit, then he just beat a piece of shit. If he beat a guy that, was out there and gave him some kind of challenge, then it would have been a bigger win. So for me, I was not happy. I knew it beforehand, and I was not happy with it when they went to the ring, and I was even less happy when they came back. So didn't like it. I hated it.
Can you verbalize what you didn't like about it? What you hated it?
I thought it just squashed Hunter and didn't do anything. If that's all we were going to do, we could have just said, hey, Warrior returns at WrestleMania, and send Mario Mancini out there to do that.
Talk a little bit about the Observer. They write, the Huckster Nacho Man Billionaire Ted skit match will be on the pregame show, which pretty much removes the legal threats from that skit by using the likeness of Hulk Hogan, Ted Turner, and Randy Savage, all owned or controlled by WCW as part of an endeavor in which the public pays for it, which the pay-per-view falls into, but a free show doesn't, they would open themselves up for potential legal action down the road. So the idea is there was a match originally promoted that's going to have Nacho Man and Huckster and Billionaire Ted in a match on the pay-per-view. Now it's the pre-show. Did the possibility of litigation, since you guys were already thinking that way, cross your mind?
No, really and truly, the whole thought process behind it was, goddamn, let's just get over with this and move on. And no one was going to buy the pay-per-view for that. No, correct. And it was more along the lines of, just let's get it over with, put it on the pre-show, be done with it, and just be done. So by this point, you guys were just frustrated with the whole thing, but knew you had to have a payoff. So let's just get it over with. Okay. Is that one of those deals in hindsight where it seemed like a good idea on paper, but then it was just a fart in church? Like nobody cares. Well, what are we doing? It's funny maybe one or two times, but then it just became, okay. Yeah, we're over it. Yeah.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.